Okay, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for joining us today for the next in the Admiral Markets Trading Spotlight series. And here we are today is to how to advance your intraday FX trading, part 3. My name's Paul Wallace. I appreciate that many of you joining us on our Friday session. Would be here to see Jens. We've had a little bit of a change for a week or two in November, but it's a great pleasure for me to be able to be here to chat to some old friends whom I see from our participants, but also new people here joining us for the first time. So you're very welcome. We really appreciate you joining us here. Okay, it helps me to make the most of our session for ourselves. If you have the ability just to in the chat box just literally sort of just let me know what, if any, experience you have of intraday FX trading. That way that I can actually sort of just adjust and tweak my session so that you get the most value out of it. But please feel free to pop questions in there, or if you're watching this later on demand on our YouTube channel or on Facebook page, please just drop us a comment on what you make of it, or any other particular topics that you'd like to see from us here at Admiral Markets, and we'd be delighted to sort of engage with you. So hopefully you can hear my voice, see the screens and see the slides. And what we're going to talk about today, well, not unsurprising, we're in part 3. So we're going to talk about what we've covered about intraday FX trading so far. And if you're just joining us for this session and you've not seen the previous sessions, be sure to check them out. They are on the Admiral Markets YouTube channel and also the Admiral Markets Global Facebook page. So please feel free to go through those, to make plenty of notes, and you'll find that all of these sessions so they just add upon each other and help build a picture of what you need to be aware of when you're going to engage with intraday FX trading. But today what we're going to look at is some of the most important currencies that we can utilize in our trading profiles. Now, admittedly, when I talk about this, I primarily sort of am trading during the European session, but I appreciate that we have Admiral Markets clients from across the globe, and we'll talk a little bit about how you can tweak that towards your own particular time settings. We'll talk about, with that in terms of like when do the best setups occur, and what we'll do is we'll go through and have a little look. We'll have a little look at live markets and talk about, possible trade setups that we saw today that you might be able to sort of enjoy and engage with. So George has asked if we can review for the past parts, please, and it's a case of yes, we'll do that. Happily to do that. Will just be a little bit of a quick recap. But hopefully that will give you some help and some insight. But please, I sort of do suggest that go back and watch the earlier webinars as well, because of course they go into some of the topics in a good deal more depth and detail there. Joe's saying that he's saying he can't hear at the moment. Hopefully that's just yourself, Joe. Everybody else can sort of see and hear me and what we're talking about today. So for those of you who don't know me, my name is Paul Wallace. I'm after a career in the Air Force, I started trading many years ago, just trading shares, and then transitioned across to sort of helping trade across hedge funds and for high net worth clients. Primarily, I look to trade FX indices and commodities. Those are my preferred instruments. And for my sort of longer term trading, I'm just looking to be a trend trader. And for my intraday trader, I'm a mean reversion trader. And that's something we'll touch upon here today as we go through our slides. But also we're here at Admiral Markets, and as you can see, Admiral Markets is a Forex and CFD broker with over 8,000 financial instruments. They have offices in 20 plus countries, so giving you global expertise with local support. Licensed, regulated across many entities across the globe, and provide very competitive spreads on some of the most popular trading instruments there. You can see both Euro, Dollar and DAX 30, and allow you to engage with the markets using some of the world's most popular trading platforms, MT4 and MT5, which are available from phone, desktop and browser, and you will also be able to get access to the Admiral Markets Supreme Edition plugin. What I'm also going to talk about here today is that if you've joined our sessions before, that I'm just going to suggest that you also try and join our exclusive trading spotlight community. And the reason I'm mentioning this now is that after this webinar, okay, I will be in the trading spotlight room there for about half an hour or so after this session. So if you have further questions, or if you have any particular of your trading ideas or questions, then please come and join me there. I'll be very happy to engage with you, very happy to chat with you and help you with your own trading. And this is all about providing you support after the webinar when you actually most need it. So you can discuss if you've got trading strategies or events or signals or other ideas that you might have with myself and other traders. You can get a lot of updates from my colleagues Marcus and Jens. They're excellent, they're very prolific in providing some fantastic content on there. And you'll also be able to tap into recordings of the previous webinars that we are delivering during the through the Trading Spotlight community. So by all means, please come and try and sign up with us now. It's there at tradersyard.com, and our Trading Spotlight group is tradersyard/312. Please come and join me, okay? As I said, I'll be there after this session, okay? So I'll be there, very happy to engage with you, very happy to answer your questions and chat to you about trading the markets as we see them at the moment. But of course, here today, right, we're going to talk about now is about a bit of a welcome back to intraday FX trading. And as we've discussed in the previous sessions, lots of people are interested in whether they can trade FX markets on an intraday basis. And what I tell people is it is possible, but you need to be prepared, right? And hopefully these webinars will provide just a small element of that preparation for yourself so that you're able to engage with those markets in an educated manner. So today's session builds upon the previous two sessions available on the Admiral Markets YouTube channel and Facebook page and the Trading Spotlight, Traders Yard community there. And you can just say, remember to begin with, it's time to grow from thinking purely like a trader and time to start thinking as a dealer or a market maker. And that's what we particularly covered in the last two sessions, about recognizing who else was operating in those financial markets. And what we talked about is, the market makers, the dealers, what they understood was that market moves are rarely one way, and dealers understand that the majority of the time intraday markets are range bound, so around about 80%. So you think about that, that can be about 4 out of 5 days where markets are generally range bound. What they also know is that they don't trust the first price, and by that they means that after a news release, dealers know that the first price print is very often the knee-jerk reaction of the market and very often wrong. Not always, but very often. And maybe we'll have a little look at the Canadian data release that after our session here, so we can actually just give you a little bit of an idea and have you can look at that. So what you're looking about is that when you sort of put those two elements together, the market makers, the dealers, they're always looking to fade markets. And that's the kind of little way to think of it, is that you're always ABF, you should always be fading. That's what they're looking to do. And that kind of sort of, builds upon my own view that, as an intraday trader in FX markets, that I'm always looking for mean reversion opportunities as my preferred way of engaging with markets. And we'll explain that to you a little bit more in a moment. So, with that in mind, when we talked about those dealers' mottos, well, what we talked about in the previous sessions, and as I said, I'm just providing just a very, very quick recap here, is that dealers only make money when orders are triggered. So they're always looking to sort of bully price towards where those biggest numbers of orders are. And in the last couple of sessions, we've covered a lot where about those orders are sat. And so, that's why, as I talk about my mindset as a trader, is that, you change your way of operating, change your way of thinking, especially if, like many traders they've come from longer term trading beforehand. So, as a longer term trader, as a swing trader, I'm always looking to be a trend follower. But intraday traders, I always suggest that you're actually you're more likely to have joy as if you're operating as a mean reversion or as a reversal trader. Primarily because, as we said before, okay, they know that the vast majority of time intraday markets are range bound. And if I appreciate that we always have a broad range of experience here in our room. So if there is, I appreciate that, that, as I said, some people might be completely new to trading, some will be very experienced, will have experience with intraday FX trading. But realistically, for those of you who are new and joining us, intraday traders we're looking for primarily for reversals, and that means we need to have something to reverse to begin with. And when we move across to looking at the charts, we'll help to explain that just a little bit more. And so with that, as a reversal or a mean reversion trader, okay, what we talked about is that how, markets, they're still traded by humans. Increasingly, we have, algos doing some of the execution, but even those robots and algos are primarily sort of programmed by humans, right? And humans are looking at charts for sort of usual places to do business. And what we see is that things like BRN, big round numbers, become of interest to us, and also previous highs and lows. And that might be previous highs and lows of days, of previous highs and lows of sessions, previous high lows of weeks, previous high lows of months, even previous highs and lows of years. And they become tradable opportunities, especially on an intraday basis. So hopefully maybe you can start to see that, there are there's one or two things that are all just coming together. We're starting to get a confluence of events, namely we're understanding that, we want to be a sort of mean reversion traders, reversal traders on an intraday basis. We know that actually, markets will look to do business at previous highs and lows. And so when markets expand out to that is where we're sort of starting to hunt for places for us to do our business as traders. So, we talked about it. We covered it a good deal more in the sort of, I think it's session 1, is about how previous highs and lows are very tradable for us as intraday FX traders. Why? Well, that's because there are usually lots of stops there, so they become attractive areas for dealers. Remember, dealers only get paid when orders get triggered, so they're always interested in areas where there are particularly lots of stops. That means that it also offers a point for a mean reversal trade, okay, a sort of an opportunity for that instrument to expand and then revert to the mean, and that's where we're looking for a reversal trade setup, and we'll look at some ideas for the rest of our particular session as we go through. So, we talked about how do we use this info in the last session. Well, every day as an intraday FX trader, we want to know what, if any, major news is being released. That's very important, okay? We don't want to step in front of the freight train that is data coming into the market. So we want to know what, if any, major news is being released. We also want to sort of have a look at what were the previous day's highs and lows, and also the previous week's highs and lows. And we also want to be aware of any significant big round numbers that are actually of interest to us. And when we look at sort of sterling in particular this week, which we'll have a look at in a moment, those are that in itself is a sort of an interesting case study in the importance of big round numbers. But when price reaches those areas, okay, reaches those areas of previous days highs and lows, or particular significant big round numbers, then we are looking for a mean reversion setup. So a mean reversion candle setups could be, things like pin bars, okay, rejection candles, engulfing candles, key reversal candles, or double top or bottoms. And we're going to focus a lot on double top bottoms. That's because that's my preferred way of engaging. But if you're, as I said, new to trading and maybe not sure what pin bars or engulfing candles or key reversal candles are, well then please go and have a look at the previous webinars that are here on the Admiral Markets Trading Spotlight webinar series, because you'll find I myself and also my colleagues, Jens and Marcus, will have sort of delivered sessions in particular about price action trading, but also about particular setups like pin bars, engulfing candles, and key reversals. So there's plenty of previous information here that we want you to access and to be able to utilize in your own trading evolution. So please, by all means, go and look at those webinars to get more in-depth insight and detail as to how you can view and set those up. But I will want to understand those kind of very simple price action reversal candles, okay, reversal setups. That gives us, a confluence of events once again of where we can start to look and get interested in where we can sort of do our business as traders. So, we talked in particular a lot about double tops and bottoms last session, okay, understanding like how almost like M patterns and W patterns, and we went through quite a lot of examples there, and I'll show you another one or two of them later. We're just going to switch across to the sort of the main charts, and in a few moments, and show you like one or two examples over the last day or two, because it always helps to be able to see sort of relative, and kind of very recent setups. That helps kind of what's the word? It almost like locks it in your mind once you're able to see it happening for yourselves. So, but what we talked about, okay, was how double top and bottoms, why that trade works is, double top and bottoms, I admit, I am a rugby fan. I'm an ex-rugby player, and it's a case of I look at double tops and bottoms is a little bit like it's like looking down from above on the top of a rugby scrum. Okay, it's where if you're new to rugby, it's where the sort of two forward packs line up and basically give each other a bit of a shove, and the ball gets thrown in, and it's almost in trading prices like the rugby ball. Okay, it's been kicked about between the two opposing teams, and our two opposing teams in this case the Bulls and the Bears, as they try to wrestle control from the opposition. At some point, one team is likely to tire, and the ball, which in this case is price, is likely to get pinged out. Okay, and then the move happens. Well, in the markets, because price has already put in an overextended move up towards perhaps previous days highs and lows, or previous weeks highs and lows, before that kind of double top or bottom pattern gets printed, well, we're kind of anticipating that the likelihood is, the probability is that price, okay, or the ball will shoot out in the direction of a reversal, and that's what we're waiting for. Okay, that's what we're sort of having to demonstrate a little bit of patience as we sort of sit and wait for that opportunity to present itself. And so, as I said last time, if you're not entirely sure how to look at on a double top and bottom, well, if you just look at your left palm, right this moment, okay, you just try and open your fingers as much as possible, you'll see, there's a very nice double, should be a very nice double top pattern there in the kind of in the wrinkles in your palm. Okay, you can you always have a constant natural reminder there, okay, in the palm of your hand, what to see a double top or an M pattern. Okay, once you've got that seared into your cortex, then you should never forget that particular setup. So, what we wanted to talk about today was, well, where do we focus our efforts? Okay, there's lots of FX pairs out there, okay, from, the majors to the exotics, okay. Where do we want to focus? Well, what I suggest normally for traders who are new, okay, or traders who are just, engaging with intraday FX trading for the first time, is that let's just kind of, keep our focus just a little bit narrower, in the sense of being able to not allow ourselves to be overwhelmed by sort of multiple swathes of data, which is very easy to happen. So what we talk about is maybe using the 1 hour chart, okay, for an understanding of analysis of trend, and primarily sort of just looking at the 15-minute chart for execution for setups. I appreciate that some people like to trade shorter time than that, okay, maybe using the 5-minute chart and the 1-minute chart. Some people maybe like to trade a little bit longer, using 30 minutes and the 4-hour charts, okay, on the MetaTrader platforms. That's okay. I think as you become more experienced, you will find the kind of the time frame that suits your own personality, and that in itself is a whole different webinar. Okay, understanding the kind of melding of your personality with your trading time frame. But for today, to begin with, okay, just be looking at 1 hour charts for the analysis for a trend, and also kind of 15-minute chart for the execution. And what we'll do to begin with is also focus on 3 of the major FX pairs. Okay, pound sterling, euro, and the US dollar. As I said, I appreciate that we have a broad, geographical range of people here joining us today, and I appreciate that some people may be from the Pacific region. So actually, the sort of the condols might actually be of more interest. Maybe the Australian dollar, Kiwi dollar, Canadian dollar, Japanese yen, and I do appreciate that and try to take that on board. But I also recognise that in terms of trading majors, in terms of the vast majority of people joining us for our session here is viewers that they will be interested in the European session and perhaps into the New York session. And so, somewhere to start with, okay, in terms of the ability to position, well, as I said, we'll just look to focus on sterling, the euro, and the US dollar, and that's where we can look to begin with. And I'll show you this how we set this up. Okay, so what does it mean when I say, well, I'm going to focus on sterling? Well, I'll show you a little bit here in a moment when we switch across to the Admiral Markets MetaTrader platform. But here I just have effectively an intraday profile set up for those three currencies. Okay, so what I have here is I have for the sterling setup, what I'll have is the pound against the dollar, the pound against the Japanese yen, the euro against the sterling, the pound against the Swiss franc, the pound against the Aussie, the pound against the Canadian dollar, pound against New Zealand dollar, and just to keep it near, I'll also have the FTSE 100, which is the UK equity index. So hopefully you can see like that, and I'll show you on my my screens at the moment. Okay, that that allows me to have my kind of 8 charts there, just covering the sterling, okay, and the UK with regards to the FTSE, so that I can very quickly just scan those charts to sort of give myself an idea of what's happening. Okay, is there a trend in place across the whole of sterling? Is there a case of some of those sterling pairs are perhaps overextended and hitting those kind of areas we're interested in terms of previous days highs and lows, okay, previous weeks highs and lows, big round numbers, okay, just being able to sort of very quickly scan and keep myself on top of that, just allows me to operate more effectively as an intraday trader. What I also have is the kind of the euro. Okay, I have a euro profile set up here, and the euro profile, it has just the majors. Okay, euro dollar, euro Japanese yen, euro sterling, euro against the Swiss franc, euro against the Australian dollar, euro against the Canadian dollar, euro against the Kiwi dollar, and then the DAX 30 as well. DAX 30 being the German equity index. Okay, it's the biggest in Europe, so it's I'm always looking at their kind of correlations between what's going on with the euro and what's going on with the DAX. Okay, sometimes you'll see correlations there occur, but it's the same setup in many respects as we have with the sterling. What it does is allows me to sort of cover those kind of the sort of 7 major FX pairs there against the euro. I can very quickly see when there's a trend in place. I can very quickly sort of choose which ones I need to be honing in on for my to find my trade setups, and it just makes it a little bit easier for me to, as I say, operate and engage effectively in intraday markets. And also, I have a profile set up for the US dollar. Okay, just the same as the sterling and the euro. And I admit that I have them for also for Swiss franc. Okay, for the Japanese yen, for Aussie dollar, Kiwi dollar, okay, and Canadian dollar. But today we're just going to, as I said, focus on sterling, euro, and US dollar. And here's like the US dollar profile that I have set up. Okay, pound against dollar, euro against dollar, dollar against the yen, dollar against the Swiss franc, Aussie against the dollar, Canadian against the US dollar, Kiwi dollar against US dollar, and then also the dollar index. The dollar index being of interest to us because it gives us a very good insight into what the dollar's doing. Okay, against their basket of currencies. So and we'll have a little look at that in closer depth in a moment when we switch across to the charts. So, as I said, it's, excuse me, it's a case of, we're looking at how price operates. Excuse me. And it's literally an interesting case of, this is just, I think from the other day, okay, this is the pound against the Canadian dollar. And what I'm particularly interested in here, let's just use the drawing tool. I appreciate that always kind of helps for me to be able to sort of draw that in. Just bear with me one moment. Here we go, just bear with me 1 second. Is that, as I said, this is the pound against the Canadian dollar on the 15-minute chart. What we can see is on the previous day is that we had a very kind of scruffy sort of double bottom before price rallied its way up into a double top there before it actually ran down here and provided us with another double bottom here. Admittedly, this was on the sort of big 200 period moving average before price rallied all the way up to the previous day's high. But once we got up to the previous day's high, we could actually see that invariably it started to fall back again. Okay, excuse me. Hopefully what you can see is, if I just clear some of these drawings, is that what we start to see is how price reacts, okay, around the sort of previous day's highs and lows, okay, around how it particularly operates here even at the previous week's high. And once you start to do a little bit of a bit of work, a little bit of scanning, just start to build a little bit of routine, you're in a position to start to understand exactly a little bit clearer about how price reacts at those areas, because that's where we're actually looking for particular setups for ourselves to trade. So here we have and sort of another trade for myself only a couple of days ago. I do apologize. And here we have is this pound against Canadian dollar on the 15-minute chart, and basically what we saw early in the European session was that price pushed down to the previous week's low there, okay, previous week's low there, and hopefully you can see there it put in a double bottom pattern there, okay, before it moved its way up, and clearly this must have been perhaps previous day's high. It hasn't got there, but actually where we had a reaction before it went up, before it had another reaction, before it went up up again. But the kind of key element here for us is that it's very nice when we see price come down to kind of previous week's highs or lows, okay, then provides us with a little nice simple double bottom pattern that actually allows us to sort of take a trade in the direction of the major trend for the day, and that's what we're looking to find. Doesn't happen every day. I wish it did. But by being able to just very quickly scan the sterling pairs, the euro pairs, dollar pairs, it allows you to sort of just very quickly just pick up when these patterns are starting to appear, and preferably, as I say, when it comes with a bit of a confluence of events that allows us to have a few things all coming together at one particular time and place that will allow us to invariably take a good higher probability trade. So, as always, for those of you who just joined me for the first time here today for a Friday session, is that I always like to sort of set you a little bit of homework, a few tasks to go away, because I appreciate that I'm here talking to you, trying to share some information with you, but I appreciate it's not until you actually get to go away and start to work upon it yourself that the learning will effectively solidify in your own sort of in your own brain. So here's your tasks from today's session, ladies and gentlemen. After this webinar, after you've joined me in Trader's Yard, we'll then go away and create profiles on MT4 or MT5 for all of the kind of major currency pairs associated with pound, okay, euro and US dollar, and we'll take a look at my MetaTrader and I'll show you how it's done. Then go and open any of these charts, okay, on an intraday time scale, so that's 15 and 60 minutes charts. Start to look at drawing on the previous day's highs and lows, draw on any kind of significant big round numbers, and look at what happens when price hits those levels. Excuse me. Does price power on through? Does it just slice and carry on? Or does it reverse and revert back into the range? Okay, and if it does reverse, were there any particular significant double tops or bottoms that alerted you to a trade opportunity? So I can guarantee you one thing is, if you can take away that task list and work on that for the next couple of weeks, I assure you that your evolution as an intraday trader will increase rapidly, and you'll start to sort of hopefully see particular areas and levels and patterns that start to occur. And it's those kind of, as I say, that kind of confluence of events that we're looking particularly to sort of use as our opportunity to engage with FX markets on an intraday basis. So, to conclude there, ladies and gentlemen, intraday trading FX markets, it is possible with some preparation and forethought. And 80% of the time, intraday FX markets are practically range bound. So, what we're looking at is we're looking for reversal setups for a mean reversion trade. to begin with, focus on the 15 and 60-minute charts, okay? Just take them away and focus on them. And as I said, specifically, especially if you're kind of like in the European session trader, that, you know, focus on the pound, okay, the euro and the US dollar, major pairs, okay, against the, you know, the other major trading currencies. And just watch how those price reacts around previous days, highs and lows, okay? And learn how to sort of trade, learn how to spot and then trade those reversal, mean reversion setups. And the double top or bottom formation is very useful here. So as I said, we'll look across at live markets in a moment, but you know, that as I said, there's something you can take away and work on from, you know, today. That's the whole way that we're in these trading spotlight webinars, is we're looking to provide you information that you can take away and utilize tomorrow in your own trading. So as always, don't forget to join us next time, okay? So what we have is that we've got Jens talking about how to successfully use Forex robots. So what are Forex robots? I appreciate some of you may particularly like to use them. How do they work? And, you know, what are the benefits and risks of using these? I appreciate they're very popular, and Jens, my colleague, will be able to explain them all very, very clearly, and talk about, you know, how you can set them yourself up to use these effectively. So actually, that session is going to be on Monday, November the 11th at 2 p.m. So if you check your inbox for the webinar link, or you can go over to the Admiral Markets website to register for these live trading spotlight webinar series. As always, there's plenty of analysis and education resources on the admiralmarkets.com website. And if you want to contact us, if you want to have questions, okay, you can contact us on hello@admiralmarkets.com or the youtube.com/Admiral Markets page. Please think about going on there and joining us, okay? By all means, you can watch all the previous intraday FX trading webinars, and you'll be able to sort of you know, get some questions and add some commentary. And also on the facebook.com/Admiral Markets Global. So, you know, I hope you found that session useful, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you're plenty there to sort of be able to take away and sort of utilize to help us have us join us. And what we're going to do is, you know, as I said, we're just going to switch across. If you'll bear with me for the last 5 minutes or so, we'll switch across and have a look at the charts. And then, as I said, you know, I'll be in the Traders Yard. Okay, I'll be on the Traders Yard there for about the next 30 and 40 minutes after this particular session. So if you have further questions, or if you have particularly pressing points that you want to discuss about trading, then please, I'll be there, and you'll be very welcome to join me and ask questions and engage with us, and I look forward to do that. So as I said, I hope you found that useful, and if you just bear with us one moment, we'll switch across to the charts platform and just have a little look at what's going on at the moment. Okay, so hopefully you can all still hear me. Hopefully you can all see me. Hopefully you can all see the Admiral Markets MetaTrader 4 Supreme Edition here that we have in front of me. As I said, you know, as I was explaining in the on the slides, you know, I have profiles. Let's just get the cursor up. You know, I have my profiles here, okay, for the euro. This is a euro one, okay. So here I have, we can see I've got euro dollar, okay, on the 15-minute chart. I've got euro sterling, euro Aussie, I have euro Canadian dollar, I have the DAX here, bottom right, euro Kiwi dollar, euro Swiss franc, okay, and the euro yen. You know, and what I'm looking at the moment, let's just move these pieces around here so we can just help them. Bear with me. What we're looking at is, you know, very quickly. So if I can, here we go. If I just, that's it. I'm just going to quickly run out there, push them out there. You know, and very quickly, what I can see there is, if I just put that onto the euro yen onto the 15 minutes chart, is that, you know, what we can see here, especially for like, you know, the euro against the US dollar, the euro against the Japanese yen, the euro against the Swiss franc, okay, and the euro against the sterling. Well, hopefully you can see that, very quickly for today, that's, the euro has been pretty much in a downtrend against those particular currencies. And now that's the joy of having this, is that you can very quickly sort of see where this particular movement is happening. Whereas, let me just move this a little bit out of the way. Whereas here, what we can see, interestingly against the commodity dollar currencies, okay, the euro is kind of, it's grinding its way north against the Aussie dollar, against the Kiwi dollar, and also against the Canadian dollar. And it's a Canadian dollar let's have a little look at that for a moment. Is there, I'm just looking at, here we go. So, I just posted something on the Traders Yard, okay, on the trading spotlight area of Traders Yard, okay, about the Canadian dollar, because we had Canadian dollar news out about an hour, just under an hour or so ago, and of course that news wasn't, it was not what the market was expecting. Okay, they failed to hit the numbers, but this kind of makes interesting reading for me, okay, because what I'm looking at here, as I said, this is the 15 minutes chart. And what we can see is that if I go up to the hourly chart, was that yesterday, we had a bit of a sell-off there, okay, of the euro against the Canadian dollar. We pushed up there, okay, we had a little bit of a pullback, and we pushed down again. And when I go down to the 15-minute chart, what I'm looking at here is what's of interest to me, and I'm just going to draw it in here, is that the sort of the trade opportunity that was here for this morning was, if I just quickly draw this in, might make it a little bit more easier to see, is that once price this morning, it's just looked as if it'd been grinding up all overnight. Okay, just bear with me one moment. It's easy for you, so you can see how I'm looking, and what I'm looking for. It is that we kind of ground our way up here. There we go. Let's just change. Yeah. Super. Let's just get my drawing tool out as well. I appreciate that always helps. So, we saw last night that, basically price was just grinding its way up, okay? You can see that overnight. And then what happened here, we hit the sort of, this is the 200 period moving average. And what happened is, hopefully you can see there, so we had a nice M pattern there, okay, which was also a rejection candle that we ran down, okay. And where did we run down to, okay? Where did we run down to? Well, we ran down to yesterday's low. We literally sort of tapped there, okay? We tapped that a couple of hours ago, the yesterday's low, before putting in a bit of a skew with kind of sort of double bottom pattern before we ran into the Canadian news. And as I said, the Canadian news was poor, okay, relative to expectations. So the Canadian dollar was sold off across the board. And so actually what we saw was, of course, we had euro rally up and the Canadian dollar collapse in price. And where did it kind of run up to? Well, it ran up to yesterday's high. There we go. So hopefully, just in one very simple, chart there, we can see how, price was grinding its way up, how it's effectively, it's here, it bounced off, what was dynamic resistance of the 200 period moving average. It put in, let's just clear this off so it's easier. You can, so it put in our an M pattern this morning and on our session before it ran all the way down to yesterday's low, okay, where actually price reacted. Okay, and then rallied all the way up to yesterday's high. Okay, and now we're just trying to see our price fall away from there. Okay, so hopefully that just gives you one quick example of how that we can see how price it sort of moves over a trend. Okay, it puts in an M pattern and it drops, and how the sort of kind of previous days highs and lows, okay, become significant areas for intraday trading. Okay, they become significant areas that that we want to be interested in if we're not already in the trade. And this morning this was our trade on our session as it ran away and ran down. That was our particular setup, running towards for the rest of the European session. And this was down here as start to actually become a useful target, okay, for traders, when you can see that when we know that it's an area where there's a previous day's highs and lows, there's areas where that we expect some sort of reaction there. So hopefully that you find that particularly useful. If there's any questions here, we'll happily take them for the last moment or two. Otherwise, I will wish you the best of success in your own trading. As I said, for those of you who've got want to sort of continue the chat, well, I'll be in the Traders Yard area there for about the next 30 to 40 minutes. You'll be very, very welcome to join us. I think that we've put the link up there. Okay, you can see the link in the chat box there. So please feel free to join us. As I said, if you want to know more, then the previous webinars are on the Admiral Markets YouTube channel and on the Facebook page. And by all means, please feel free to sort of check with them. If you like them, please do hit the like button. Okay, if you've got interesting questions or comments, then please, we always enjoy the interaction. It'd be very good to sort of have questions interaction from yourselves. And for the next week, I think I'll be seeing you next Friday. And as always, I wish you the best success in your own trading, ladies and gentlemen. And I look forward to speaking to you soon. Trade well, ladies and gentlemen.